Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Siu.
All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Marketing School. And today we're going to be talking about what should your first marketing job be, agency or in-house? I'm your host, Eric Siu.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And we're going to jump into it right now. And I guess I can start with this first. Coming from the agency world, you have two different options, right? Agency is you're working at a marketing agency, you're helping clients grow, you're doing a lot of different things, and you're being tasked with a lot of different things. In-house is kind of similar, especially when you're working at a startup. So I've been on both sides of this. In-house, sometimes you're more specialized, and the earlier stage a company is, the more work you have to do, the more hats you have to wear. I've been at more mature companies where it's a couple hundred people, and you're just kind of specializing in one area. So Neil, after me giving a description, what's your take on this, and where do you think people should go?
So I'm a bit biased because I've actually never really had a 9-to-5 job other than cleaning restrooms and picking up trash. You first started off working 9 to 5. So what I've always found, and I really do believe this is why I'm a better marketer than most people, is I've mainly done the agency side. Think of it this way. Being a really good marketer is like being a really good poker player. You know why some players are just exceptionally good at poker versus others? Sure, they may be better at numbers and probability, but that's not really it. It's that they've seen more hands. The more hands you've seen in poker, eventually the better player you should be because you realize what to do when you see these kind of hands and you're put in certain situations. Marketing goes the same thing. When you're working at an agency, you get to see so many more wide variety of businesses that you can learn from each of them. You get data from so many different markets and segments that you're a way better, well-rounded marketer than if you just worked at one company, you only have experience within that sector, and you only know how to do work for that one startup. If someone is in the healthcare space and you hop around from healthcare company to healthcare company, what works for one healthcare company won't always work for the other. But when you're in the agency world, you learn that it's not just about copying. You see so much data from different industries and companies that you learn what kind of strategies work overall and which ones don't and why.
When I remember going into the agency world, here's the thing. I think when you're applying to an agency job, you have to look at the agency and ask them directly, hey, if I wanted to learn other things, if I wanted to try other things, are you going to let me? Because some agencies are straight up just like sweatshops where they just want to dump you into, they want you to be a cog in a machine, and they're not going to have a lot of flexibility. They want you to only focus on one area, and you're not going to be able to grow. So I think the growth potential, whether it's agency or in-house, has to be massive. You have to be able to grow, otherwise you're dying. Now, I was lucky enough that the agency that I was working at, they were very open-minded. The SEO department was new, and I came in as an SEO link builder, and this is when I was like 24 years old. And I started out doing link building, but quickly I took on other responsibilities, and I just wanted to do more because I felt like we weren't being the best that we could be, and I wanted to add as much value as I could. And nobody is going to stop you from doing that if they're open-minded. And they certainly let me do that. I tried a lot of different things. We got to work with a lot of big brands, learn how to manage clients. But in 3 months, I decided, wow, this is a great place to work, but I need to move on. So I actually moved in-house after that. I went to work for a company called Break Media, and they actually, if you watch Break.com, the funny videos over there, they own a bunch of other web properties too. I actually moved over there, did SEO in-house, and I was lucky because they own a lot of different properties, but I was just specialized in being an SEO strategist there. So the agency side, if they're open-minded, I think it's definitely the place to start because you're going to be able to get your feet wet in a lot of different areas. They're going to be open to a lot of different strategies because here's the thing, a lot of the agency owners, a lot of the founders, they're not really up to date on these things. They're so focused on running the business.
And when I compare what people learn in the agency world versus working in-house, the agency people typically know more of the cutting edge tactics. They also have more, tactical experience, not just theory based, right? They've been implementing, they've been testing. Because the thing with the agency world, if you work there, or let's say a company hires an agency, if your company doesn't get result from that agency, what are you going to do? You're going to fire them. When you work full time at a startup or at a company, and someone in the marketing department doesn't perform, what happens? They usually still have their job. It's much harder for a company to fire you when you work full time than it is for a business to fire an agency that they just hired on a contract basis. It's way easier for them to fire the agency. And for that reason, the agencies either have to produce or they don't. And the ones that produce really well are the ones you're going to learn the most from.
Yeah, and I think that actually goes right back into the whole growth potential thing. And I'm going to go back to this startup that I was at, where I was their VP of marketing. And here's the thing: there was a ton of growth potential because I never had an executive role before, didn't know how to manage people, so there's a lot for me to learn. And at the same time, they were strapped for cash. There was only a few months of cash left in the bank, so they were in effect in trouble. So there's a lot of pressure on me to figure things out, or else it was going to effectively be over. So in that scenario, I was just constantly, learning. First of all, I have to learn how to manage people. And here's the other thing: as a quote-unquote executive at a startup with 50 people, you also have to be able to roll up your sleeves at the same time. So it's about finding the right growth opportunity. And in that scenario, I got to execute. I got to manage my team. There's hiring, there's firing involved. And, let's just put it this way. The person before me, revenues were quite flat. The person before me wasn't really getting results, and I had to take the brunt for that. And basically 1 month in, the CEO pulled me aside and said, hey, if we don't hit numbers this month, we're going to have to let you go, just straight up. And everybody's families, they're riding on your shoulders right now. There's 54 people depending on you. No pressure, right? So it's, again, this ties all back into the whole growth potential and where the company is at. If it's a big company like Neil mentioned, well, yeah, they're just going to let you sit there. They're probably not going to detect that you're not doing anything at all. I will say that I got fired from Break because they found out that I was trying to start a company. And, that's something they discovered because one of the prospects reached out to Break. So that's a little funny story in itself. But I probably could have stayed at Break for a very long time. I'm going to be very, very honest. Sometimes I would take, 2 to 3 hour lunches because I knew I could slip by undetected. So that's a scenario you don't want. And here's the thing you have to ask yourself. Your first marketing job, I think definitely should be agency. I'm more on the agency side too. I definitely agree with Neil. A lot to learn. But the biggest thing is you have to keep asking yourself over and over, are you growing or not? Are you growing or not? Do you feel like you're maximizing your learning potential? Doesn't matter how much you're getting paid, whatever it is, as long as you're growing, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and as you keep learning more and more, the job opportunities after are gonna come by the boatload. And what I found is every time, I've never took a 9-to-5 job, but I have interviewed for them many times. And if I wanted to, I could have taken some of these jobs. And some of these jobs are paying an arm and a leg, like $4, $5, $6 million a year. That's a shitload of money for working for someone else, 9 to 5. And you know why I'm getting these really high price offers? It's because I've worked in the agency world so much and I know how to provide results due to the fact that I've seen data across so many different verticals and industries that I'm really valuable to most businesses. Whether it's big, small, medium, it doesn't matter in size. But if I never had an agency when I was younger, I wouldn't have this skill set. So if you're gonna start off, try to avoid the 9-to-5 job, go for the agency route. Even if the agency pays half the amount, it doesn't matter. The amount of knowledge you'll end up getting from the agency will more than make up for it. And in the long run, you will be way better off and further along in your career by taking the job or your first marketing job at an agency.
All right. Hope that was helpful. And again, like always, if you enjoyed this, leave us a rating, a review, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next episode of Marketing School.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.